a comet and it's just a comet, then it's things are just going to continue on as they have been continuing on. And if Terral is going to want to jump in now, I'm sure he's going to spice it up. So have at it, Terral.
Okay, the situation we have now is that Earth crossed E.L.E. orbit on April the 25th. We crossed orbit, and now we've matched orbit. That means that we're on the same side, and that closing, there's no closure for the next almost 2 months. We're at 1.8 AU away, and we're going to remain at that distance. Whenever we come up on the 12th of this month, that's the day that we actually get further away from this object. What happens is, see those gravity portals I was talking about? Those magnetic portals? As this thing gets closer to the sun, those portals they shrink towards perigee, and they grow in diameter. That's giving this object the ability to influence our planet more and more because it's extending portals onto our planet. Okay, but the distance is not shrinking. The distance is actually growing a little bit. So we're going to see Earth magma. That's what we're really looking at here, Earth magma heating up. Well, the heating process is going to moderate, and there's going to be a lot of harmonics with flow, but I don't see an increase in the Earth changes through this period that's coming up through June. What we do have, the month of May has a lot of planetary alignments. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars are all on the same side, and they're lining up pretty well, so we could see some action from that. Otherwise, the important event on my timeline is July the 7th. That's whenever we have a Sun, E.L.E. Saturn alignment. That's whenever the portals to Saturn should be broken. We should have a sign from Saturn. Then the Earth changes on the Earth are going to begin increasing at the middle part of August. That's when the closure, if you run the JPL program, you're going to see closure really, really coming fast. That closure is when those portals are shrinking towards the Earth, and this object has the ability to really influence the Earth. And so the Earth changes are going to become dramatic. The closure on the Sun is also happening, and so the solar storms are going to really intensify, and it's on the left side. That's bad for the Earth. This thing has a -5 declination on perigee at 9/11, but it has a 0 declination at the alignment on 9/26, so it's coming up from the ecliptic then. And so this object is directly between the Earth and the Sun on the plane on the 26th. That's the most dangerous day of all, because that's when the portals are broken and we have the chance for that pole shift. But the thing that's going to drive us underground is going to be the solar storms, because this object coming in from the left is going to pull out those flares. Those flares are going to turn to storms, and everything's going to turn really, really bad in the weeks leading up to September the 26th. So possibly even 2 weeks before that. So my plans are to head to my bug out location around August the 1st. Between August the 1st, the first 2 weeks there, you're still going to be able to get to your location. But instead of timing this event, what we're timing is everyone's reaction to it. If everyone woke up today, if everybody in the world heard this show and they believed every word I said, they would all get ready and you wouldn't be able to prepare. So the fact that you are awake and they aren't gives you the opportunity. And you have to wake up and get to your safe zone and into your cavern before everybody else wakes up. Because if everybody wakes up before you, you're not going to get there. You catching my drift there? And 2012 is the cover story. You keep saying 2012, but this is happening in 2011. 9/11 perigee this year is when the event happens, not 2012. That's the Intelligence Community Disinformation Program, 2012. The last day on the calendar is actually October 28th, 2011. Everybody thinks it's 2012, but it's not. It's actually in conjunction with these events that's happening right here in 2011, not 2012.
All right. So for you, it's you're not seeing anything in June that's a wake-up call other than what we're seeing right now with current patterns. And you see that coming a little later on. But I still want to step through this month by month. So, and and the virtual studio is on fire with this topic. One fellow says, where's the safest place on the planet to be? And that's one question that we have there. And I think, let me just, for those of you that are looking for that place in the June time frame, where would you go, Ed?
If I had the resources and the ability to do so, I would probably head to northwest Canada, over toward Alaska. Matter of fact, I even think we have some people on the town hall from there.
Yeah, we do. We do. And to Richard, I got a comment here in the virtual studio that I think is interesting from a Boris. And what he's asking is, from what I hear, we still have plenty of ifs and keep talking basically in circles. What do you think? Is all of this really just getting everybody to talk in circles there, Richard?
I don't think so. I think it helps to talk about it, even if it does go in a circuit. You know, our conversations, it reiterates some of our points that we're trying to make. Is that we just don't know exactly what's going to happen. But if it is something big like Nibiru or a big object, when things happen, it's going to happen quick, fast, and you better be where you're going before it gets there.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so here's the tally for June. Ed believes we're going to have a continuing increase in the Earth changes. Richard I believe your position is if it is more than a comet, we'll see an increase. If not, possibly not. And for Terral, it's still sideshow that the big ticket items are going to come later on. So with that, let's move from June to July. All right. And let me start this off with Richard. What would you expect to see in July, assuming it's a comet or assuming it's more than a comet, Richard?
Well, you know, things will just get worse as time goes on. That's just the way the picture is painted. Now, we know the next alignment.
Well, how do you define getting worse?
More earthquakes. I think we'll see, we'll see weather changes, yes, but I think we'll see some strange things, you know, just earthquakes where they should not be. Maybe even in New Madrid, who knows? Maybe that's something that's coming up. If that thing has some kind of a magnetic property to it, which there's talk in scientific circles that it might, you know. And
actually there is. I've been seeing that too. I'm tracking it too. There's a lot of concern about New Madrid.
Well, that's one of the points that, even though I say it's a comet, I am seeing things that, you know, make me want to get on the fence. So, no, as far as July, I think we'll see progressively worse.
Okay. Ed, what do you think for July?
Well, I think people better be busy little beavers getting everything ready by August 1st. I think Terral and I have the same time frame. If you're not ready by August 1st, you're going to be in deep trouble. And I think July is going to make it difficult to prepare.
That's a new add to the dialogue. And in terms of making it more difficult to prepare, what do you expect to see along those lines?
Well, I think we're already starting to see a planetary food shortage. By watching the food prices, that supply and demand is kind of telling me that there's some shortages out there. Those are going to continue to get worse with all the flooding and the fires and everything else. So food might start either being too high priced or being difficult to get. And then even having the ability to go get it due to, I think the world's going to start going a little crazy in July. And we're going to shake, rattle, and roll.
Well, when the world's going crazy, are you talking, you know, terrestrially or politically? Yes. Or okay. So
I can almost say all of the above. But
really.
Politically,
I keep going to that one, you know. Yeah, I keep finding myself that I always keep checking off all of the above anymore. Terral, now you said in June, so what? August, the guacamole hits the fan. But what are you seeing for July?
Actually, the guacamole hits the fan in September. August is your last chance to get to your location. July, the closing rate is 1.7 AU to 1.5, so it's still not dramatic yet. We're looking for the sign on July the 7th. It's very important. That's a very important day, July the 7th. that we're going to watch Saturn. That's going to give us a sign. But that's the only day that's on my timeline for July. And so I see much of the same, that we have this object is closing on the sun more and more, so that gravity portal is getting smaller. I think we're going to see reports from the scientists that the magnetic poles are moving at a very, very, very fast rate about this time. They're going to be saying that a pole shift is happening, but the poles are not shifting. They're migrating because this object is trying to make the Earth one of the hosts of its mini solar system. So that influence, that magnetic influence, is going to increase dramatically. So we're going to see magnetosphere disruption. You're going to see those animal deaths. The reason animal deaths are happening is because the migrating animals have magnetite in their tissues, and they're following lines that are disrupted, and they're going to the wrong places between food supplies. And so by the time they get there, either their food source didn't get there, or they're in the wrong place, and they swim around in circles until they just perish.
Yeah, and there was I have a lot of friends down in Los Angeles, and I'm really worried for them because there have been 2 massive fish kills down there, and I mean the fish floating on the surface, it's so thick, you almost think you could just get out and walk across it. And if it's one isolated incident, maybe they could rationalize it away, but there's fish kills happening all around the world. And birds falling out of the air. There's a lot of this going on. And, but still the same. You turn on, the network television and they give you the happy noise. Oh, don't worry about it. They just ran out of oxygen. It's like, oh, it's okay. Everything just ran out of oxygen and died. That's normal. That's cyclical, or however they like to explain it. And that just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work for me. So what you're seeing then for July is we're going to see a lot more of these fish kills, a lot more animal die-offs. Are we going to continue to see a heavy degradation in terms of the bee populations? Einstein said, when the bees go, so do we, and the bees are going. Right,
because they're getting lost. They're not finding them dead around their hives. They're going out and following these magnetic lines, and they're getting lost, and then they can't make it back to their hive, and so they're just dying.
Yeah.
All these animals are getting lost this year. See birds flying the wrong way, and for winter and everything else.
Okay. So then, did I miss anyone for July?
I think you got us all.
Okay. All right. So then, basically, July is about the last month we're all going to have to start setting things aside and stockpiling. And I think that if there's one point that you listeners out there take away from this conversation about July, is that. And because this is what I am seeing. I've really, especially in the last year, I have become far more Earth-centric, if you will, in my view of I'm just seeing what is happening on the Earth, because that's really going to drive the issue that is near and dear to my heart, survivability. And what we're going to see is a contraction of oil infrastructure from natural disasters. It's not going to be about a shortage of oil.